Welcome to Story Punk. I am Scott.
And I am Drew, and you are fired.
No. That was a weird response to that.
I'm gonna interview 3 people, and if you kill them, you can have your job back.
That sounds like awesome. So I feel like I should be more witty. I think the wit well has run dry this evening.
Well, it's late.
Yeah, it is late. That's true.
We're up late.
We're up late. Okay. So hey, we are discussing the movie No Other Choice, and that is directed by. Wait a minute. I just lost my place. Oh, you know what? I usually write the director, and I did not write the director, and I want to make sure I get his name right. It's Park. What's it? Give it to me.
I mean, I say Park Chan-wook is
there you
the
go.
Western pronunciation.
That's what I wanted.
There are other pronunciations.
That's it. But I want
to be respectful of a.
We had agreed on.
Language.
We had agreed on the correct pronunciation.
No, you're doing a good job.
I didn't say it. You did.
No, I'm saying that our approach.
There we go.
Is respectful.
No, yeah. So can you say it again?
Park Chan-wook.
Yes, Park Chan-wook.
I couldn't remember the Park Chan-wook, but
that's the Korean
my pronunciation is not going to be reliable. So.
Yes, and we're not Korean, so it is better for us to say it the American way.
I'm fine with that.
So anyway, No Other Choice is a movie. It's about a man.
It is in fact a movie.
It is a movie, and that's what we do here. After being fired, a man devises a unique plan to secure a new job by eliminating the competition.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably the simplest way of describing what this movie is about. So the takeaways, and we were discussing this in last week's episode about that there's some overlap, thematic elements with A Shock to the System.
Yes.
I think one of the things that you could take away from this movie thematically is that there's certainly a dehumanization. There's a dehumanizing nature in late stage capitalism. I mean, we see that now.
That is the most understated way to say it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it is because the thing about it is not only does this movie show how the economic system ruins lives, but it not only ruins lives. This is the thing that's crazy. It recruits the people's lives that are being ruined to then become sort of like the agents of its not mayhem, but the ends like its enforcers.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about who's doing what to who.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. This as far as just. I'm doing a high level here, like
no. I mean, you're hitting the movie. This movie has a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah,
and mostly in a very powerful and good way.
And this is one of the things that we were saying. Like the main character, Mansu, I pronounce it. I believe that's how we pronounce it. And he's not necessarily that. It's not necessarily that he's become evil, because he murders people. Spoiler, sorry. But he is basically been convinced by the way that the system has been set up that he's been convinced that this is really the only way he can survive.
Right.
Is to do things. Really, it's echoed in the name of the movie. He has no other choice.
That is repeated.
Yes. It's more of a moral escape hatch. Rather, it's not a confession to say that he is saying that this is sort of his get out of jail free for his conscience to say, I have no other choice. I have to do things this way. I have to take these extreme measures to do what I need to do.
Of course, all bullshit.
Well, yeah, of course it's all bullshit. But I mean, it's like you got to live with yourself, right? So, which is hard as things progress in this movie. It becomes harder and harder to sort of justify the things that he does. I do like the way that things get dirtier as we get. I mean, literally, as we progress through.
It's a very the business world is the depiction is very sterile in the first part of the movie, the very first part of the movie. Yes. And then because the home that this guy lives in it was quite beautiful.
Yes.
And it's not sterile like that. It's very lush. It's full of plants.
Sure.
It's got a greenhouse. You learn the history of his family, all that kind of stuff. But I like that they use that because the other homes of the people who have also been fired that he goes to, they're in decay. It's very specifically lack of upkeep.
Sure.
It's not like you go, well, this got hit by a storm or something. Like these people's lives have been upended to the point where they are not keeping a home. I mean, it's all depression, and even the stuff that they love, like this main character's plants and greenhouse and stuff. It either gets decayed or he uses it to do things like instead of growing plants to. That scene where he's gonna maybe chop up that body with a chainsaw and he goes all Dexter and everything, and it's so fucking incompetent and also horrifying.
Yeah,
and it's in his greenhouse, like that's his sacred place. Like you spend so much time in there, because he loves it, and then he's gonna use it for crime, murder.
Also, the other thing too is that it is interesting to see. There's sort of two things. That one, first of all, we're looking at. How like sort of this economic stress from the job, how the what it does to sort of like this fragile masculinity. I mean, this guy, I think it's important to him to have a family, and I think he wants to be like the provider, wants to do things for his family. It's my understanding.
He loves his wife and kids, for real.
The whole opening scene with him at home is it was my impression that was a fantasy of what he wanted to provide for his family, because of the way that it was done. I mean, am I wrong with that? That was a dream, right?
Oh no, I don't think it was a dream. I think he was living his dream, and it felt like living a dream to him because he did everything right, which is like shock to the system, where I did everything right. Now this is what I get. I get what I deserve, which is good, and then suddenly you took it away.
Well, this is what I thought was that, because when he is like cooking the eel up, and all the colors are very, very vibrant, very bright, and I do know that was actually an artistic choice to make all of the scenes outdoors be very very bright.
Well, have you seen any of this director's other movies?
I saw Old Boy.
Okay, because some of his movies, especially Lady Vengeance, they're Stoker, actually, for an English language, they are unbelievably beautiful.
Yeah,
the first part of that movie looks like what I expected it to look like. Well, and the fact that he pulls that apart as part of the storytelling is very interesting, because it's still a beautiful movie, but it's very raw and
But what I was going to say though is that scene though looks in the same location looks different. Like right after that scene, it looks different, and then the wife says to him, no eel, like no, which made me think that like, but he just like, I didn't get the impression that a lot of time had passed. So like when she said, they didn't send you any eel or whatever, like I was like, so was that in his head? It seemed that way to me, because also his relationship with his daughter throughout the rest of the movie isn't exactly like it was in the very beginning.
I think you're reading it correctly. I don't think it's literally a dream. I think it's
maybe not a dream, but
it's like what he dreamed of, and it's happening. So when he's living it, everything. You've had times in your life where stuff is going better than not.
Yeah.
And imagine if you felt like, wow, I worked really hard and I have these challenges and my kids have some challenges and whatever, but like everything has come together. That's what it feels like at the beginning of the movie, because for him, everything that he wanted is happening. And then it comes apart. Like, we're so fragile. Our lives are so fragile.
But I don't know.
To me, that felt like not a literal dream. Like, you're in his head most of the movie, and it starts there, to me.
Anyway, the point is with that, everything that happened, he became like, sort of like I was saying that there is the economic stress, sort of like the masculinity, the idea of that I'm the father, I am the the provider for my family. It does kind of start to crumble under that economic stress, and like you were saying, they burned through the severance, they didn't change their lifestyle, and then there's some harsh changes that need to be made. Also, on top of that, there is the idea that your job is your identity. And for some people, it's a big thing. It's like you are, it's one thing if you're somebody that just, you're just an office worker, but there are some people, it's like, it's all like that's what I do. You know what I mean? So he's
I think that tells
guy.
us more about Korean business culture as well.
But to think about something even like, think about, what I kept thinking about, like The Office. Michael Scott. He's a paper guy. You know what I mean? And that's a character like that. Now, granted, it's a comedy and it's a heightened reality.
It's about real stuff for sure.
But it is about real stuff.
Absolutely.
And there are guys out there that would probably be the manager of a paper company that would be their personality. Like I'm the manager of this place, and that's my thing. And it is like, and so what happens then? Like in this case, he that's not his job anymore. So what is he?
Yeah, who is he at all?
Yeah,
and I'll tell you what he's not.
What's that?
He's really good at murder.
That is very true.
But I give him credit for trying something different.
Sure, it kind of reminds me of the movie I still haven't watched yet. You were telling me about what's the Blue Ruin?
Oh yeah, no.
Which I need to check that out.
Yeah, this is a. I mean, it's so funny because what's happening right now in the world, in movies and in the news and stuff, I, like many people, just love competence porn. So Project Hail Mary is a movie that is about like scientists and engineers who are smart and do stuff, and it works, it doesn't work, but they know how to do things, they know how to fail and come back, all that kind of stuff. And Artemis 2 is actually happening in the real world. And that's all about competence. But I love profoundly incompetent characters.
Yeah.
And this guy, he finds himself, he has to do something different. But instead of saying, I'm going to go wait tables, or I'm going to go work, because he gets a job stocking in a store or something, which he then loses because he's going to go to an interview. He's like, I've got to do something really different. And he just gets to murder, which is very different.
Yeah.
Or is it?
I mean,
the whole thing is I have no other choice. I have to slay them all. And slay them all, the all is his competition. That seems like the wrong choice to me. Wouldn't it make more sense to kill the people who make you compete? Like, wouldn't that be more satisfying? It's not even a choice that occurs to them. It's literally not in their paradigm at all.
I think it's easier to zero in on because in that case it's almost like do I take care of the competition that's right in front of me, or do I kill the system? And I think it's harder to kill.
And I'm not
system.
saying the movie is telling the wrong story. The movie's telling a great story.
No, I
but
you.
I mean, it feeling that like because the people that he kills, he doesn't just look them up, learn about them professionally, and then shoot them. Like, you see them as characters and as people, and even meet like their wives who suck the snake venom out of your ankle and whatever.
Yeah.
And feeling that like he's not good at murder, and he's killing the wrong people that he's blaming for what's happening in his life. That made me, as the point, increasingly sad.
Yeah.
Over the movie.
Oh yeah.
Because it's murders and extortion and all this other stuff, and all of our lives, our modern lives, are so fragile.
Yeah.
I don't see that if I lost my job, I would track down who could be hired at the similar job and kill them. Like, I don't see that being my response. But the kind of anger and fear, if you can't relate to that, you are extraordinarily lucky.
Well, I mean, the with this movie and like the way that they go about, as he goes and tries to take out the competition, he is doing stuff. Like you said, he's just not going about it the right way. And I think it becomes so crystal clear. And I mean, I hate to jump ahead, but I kind of want to make the point that whole idea at the end, when we get to the third person, and he's talking to him.
So the one he buries alive?
Yeah, so he
gets him drunk and he drinks for the first time.
He unburies him and then makes it look like he choked them with food or whatever. But he
it's a lot of saran wrap.
Yeah, so that's a lot. But when they're talking and the guy's drunk and he's saying about like, the idea that maybe there could be a scenario where we could just bring on two managers, and he's like, he never thought of that. It's like he went through all this shit, and he just like, it's like, well, maybe there could have been a scenario where there could have been room for him.
Look, that's why I use the word paradigm. I mean, these people are locked into a limited perception, and when they say, "I have no other choice," you see that that's not true, and they really believe they have no other choice.
Yeah,
like they get a fear-induced, completely understandable tunnel vision. And his solution is, again, something he's not good at.
Well, I think also the fact that your family can be a very powerful motivator, but then it's like also then it becomes almost like a casualty, because what happens is he's so like he's so, I think, focused on sort of protecting like the family that he destroys himself morally, and he becomes like this thing that's sort of becomes like unrecognizable to his family, which you really see towards that. And when he is dispatching the third victim, it's like, like how he, that's the point where his wife kind of understands like what's going. She's
that's the thing. He's unrecognizable to his family.
Yeah,
until they get on board.
yeah.
I think more the wife than the kids.
Wife, yeah. But, she lies to the son.
Yeah,
it tells him that.
But she knows what's going on by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And she's had a lot of reasons to be very upset at him. Yeah. Like you find out it's not part of introducing the character that he's been sober for 9 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like when you find out, like he's in a bar and he's not drinking, but he's in a bar. And she's like, "Are you in a bar?" And he's like trying to lie about it. And then he's showing her apple juice and stuff. I felt the gut punch.
Yeah.
Like, I know we're in trouble. I know you lost your job. But you're going back to this. That tells you a whole history of their relationship and everything. And
then it becomes, they uncover it even further, because it's like, you're like, oh, like I wasn't really like sure. I figured there was some kind of like sobriety thing going on there. Mm-hmm. But then when you find out she's like, you assume that he got drunk and would get rough with her son, mm-hmm. And it was like, oh, that's so it's even more than just that he was, out of control getting drunk. There was like actual like damage to the family going on there.
Which is why when he says things like our family is at war, he's got to clarify, not with each other.
Yeah.
Not with each other.
Yeah. It's but
because they used to be.
Well, yeah. So that is, and that is interesting. So when you see what's reflected in each one of these three potential victims, but potential
competitors.
Competitors.
I will say they are his competitors.
Yeah.
They are the people that like when he's doing his research and he's writing down like A+, he knows what he's doing. He has selected the right people that he has no other choice but to select and kill. And we learn as he does, there are also people.
Yeah, I mean, like I kind of feel like the first guy that he goes after is almost like
is that the same guy that he was going to kill with a pot? Because I got the characters mixed up. The first guy, when he holds the pot up on the
no. That he's actually, that's the third guy. I think.
That is the third. Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure.
No, because the first guy is, I feel like he was almost like he's almost like a mirror of what possibly he Mansu could have become. Mm-hmm. Because he's at this point, he was let go a while ago. Mm-hmm. It seems like that he had been. I mean, I'm guessing it had been a few years, maybe. I can't.
The passage of time, unless it's marked by things like the 3 months and whatever, is sometimes a little fuzzy. Which I think that's okay, because a lot of the point of view of the movie is tied to him. Yeah. And so as you're switching from going to work and being on a schedule and taking your daughter to her cello lessons and helping your kid with homework and going dancing with your wife, your schedule has changed into a lot more murder and mud and hiking and binoculars and all that kind of shit. So if you told me that this story took place over 3 months or over 2 years, I don't know. Like, it all just kind of does run together.
Well, I think the guy, my understanding that his first victim had been like, when the story started, this I got the impression that guy had been out of work before the story started.
Yes, I believe that's correct.
For a while. So, and that's why it looks like to me he's sort of like this is like a he could have been that guy, because and you see that part where he says to him when there is the confrontation, when he pulls out the gun, and this is Mansu pulls out the gun on his victim, and he goes, I think
you're talking about that incredible scene where the music is really loud.
Yeah, and he's like,
it's incredible.
He's like, it's just, he says something like, we're both engineers or something like that, and it's I think it really kind of drives that point home. That is a just. I mean, I feel like everything, and I don't want to jump ahead to the technical part, but that is the cinematography in this movie is just really
God. The director's
excellent.
movies are just.
It's very.
He's made a lot of movies that are worth watching because they're incredible movies.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, Lady Vengeance in the winter, the snow at night. Like I'm remembering, so it's some of the most beautiful stuff I've ever seen. Like really, because it's not just even the beauty of nature; it's the vibe that he establishes. There's a whole feeling of whole parts of this movie that remind me of other Korean filmmakers that like Memories of Murder. Is a fantastic movie. The whole movie is about cops investigating a serial killer based on a true case with a guy they never caught till actually well after the movie came out.
Yeah.
But the whole movie is a vibe. It's not even really about let's find this guy.
Yeah.
It's really about what this sort of thing does to the human beings that it's about. And this movie, different director, but this movie is I don't find myself invested in is he going to get a good job when it's about him murdering people? And that's an extreme reaction to a completely understandable reason to be upset. And I think that's why it's weirdly relatable, even though I don't see myself as someone doing murder. I get it. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. I understand what he's saying.
And so once we get to his second target, that's where they really start to twist the knife because that guy has a daughter, so there is
That's the guy he meets at the shoe store?
At the shoe store.
Yeah.
So, and he knows, Mansu knows that he has a daughter, which makes it even worse. because she comes into the shoe store right before he walks into the shoe store.
She's older than his daughter. She's like 15 or something.
Yeah.
I want to sleep at my friend's house or whatever.
Yeah, and it's a... once again, it's sort of like there is this, there's this connection to, or almost like putting this mirror up to him, like, this could be you or this is you. And that is, and I guess that's sort of the point because it makes it, it's not like this isn't a comedy. This isn't a thing that's like, oh, we're going to check off this list and it's kind of funny. He's just taking out these guys that could be, his potential competition. This is like there's sort of like this real human cost to what he's doing. And it's but it's not to say there's not funny stuff going on in this movie. I mean, the first victim, that whole thing where he's taking off all the gloves, that's kind of funny.
It is funny. Also, Korean movies sometimes will have tone changes that are a little alien to more Western, like American audiences. Like, did you ever see The Host, Bong Joon-ho's movie about a monster that comes out of the river?
No, I'm familiar with it, but I have not seen it.
It's a great movie. It's very entertaining. It's very like, oh, well, this guy's basically Steven Spielberg moments kind of stuff. But there's a scene with this girl. They go to I can't remember if it was a funeral or a vigil or whatever. But the family has lost this little girl. It's very clear that they love her. It's her father and his father and. I think it's his brother and sister or something, but they end up sort of like really freaking out. But they end up like crawling all over the floor and screaming like a slapstick comedy thing. It's very jarring for us. It's supposed to be jarring, but it's very jarring for us. So some of the mix of tones, which I think worked for me as a viewer of the movie,
I didn't find it.
But it's like. I would have never predicted he's got 3 gloves under his glove. You know what I mean? I thought when he held it up, he's going to shoot it through there because it's going to muffle it. And then he takes it off and he takes it off and I was like, okay, that's funny.
Yeah.
Except that scene is so sad. It's so sad. The whole thing is so sad. And the way that he does it, it's just amazing with the music so loud and the Korean subtitles and the English subtitles so we can follow it. And his wife, learning about the victim's wife learning about the victim even as he's about to die and all this crazy stuff.
Yeah, I definitely thought that was. I mean, the mix in tones. I think.
It's dark comedy and horror.
Yeah, I think I think he did a pretty good job of making it all work. Like I never felt like it didn't feel that jarring to me.
Good.
It just worked. I thought, and I think I just think there's certain directors can pull it off.
Look, if you buy in, you'll go for the ride. And I bought
true.
in. I didn't love this movie, and I preferred some of his other movies. But this is a very good movie, and it's very effective.
I mean, and it's also interesting too that these people they're like they are everybody that he was going up against were like, I mean, they were his competition, but they were all just kind of like him. And it's kind of sad that it's, you have this sort of this corporate logic where, we're going to pit these people against each other. And except he sort of takes it to the extreme where he's going to eliminate the competition, like literally.
Well, it's also funny because having that kind of job, it tells you who you are. So when he loses his job, then I think maybe the next thing is when he's at the EFT session, the tapping. Do you know what that is? Yeah, the emotional freedom techniques. And it's like he clearly feels like, oh no, I'm just one of these faceless people. It's a whole bunch of us losers or something like that. Dude, you were already faceless. You were already a corporate drone. You were already these things. So you really are actually even more lost than you think. And when he strikes out on his own, this is what happens.
It's I remember when he was saying about how like and I think this is part of what locks him into thinking he has no other choice, because he says paper has fed me and for 25 years, and I guess it's like that's what I have to do. I have no other choice. This is I got to do paper, and these people are in my way. And
that I think this is more about the first victim, because I think it's the first time he's finished scouting this guy and he's going to kill him in the woods, and then the guy's wife appears, and he ends up seeing them have basically a picnic together kind of thing. And this guy and his wife's like, you were going to retire in 6 or 7 years anyway. Like, what are you going to do? Get another job, and then you're just going to leave it, and you're going to be in the same place. But he has this whole rant about paper. There's a lot of interesting stuff about paper in the movie, and the implication of when we're going digital, blah blah blah. When paper disappears, then so will he. Did you ever know who Nicholson Baker is, the author?
No.
He wrote Vox, which was like a big deal because the whole book was just basically like two characters texting to each other. It's like, oh my God, we wrote a book that looks like a phone or whatever. And he did The Fermata, which is a very filthy movie about freezing time, a story about freezing time. And he's done all this other stuff. But he wrote a nonfiction book called Double Fold: Libraries and the War on Paper. And he's very, very angry. It's very interesting. It's a good book. He's an amazing writer. But he's basically talking about how libraries archive newspapers to microfilm, but they say, here's the newspaper from this day, and we scanned it onto microfilm, and this is what you will, if you want to go back in time and look for your writing something or whatever, this is what happened. Except that's not what happened, because there were multiple editions of the paper. Even in Baltimore, I remember my dad got the Evening Sun, which is different than the Baltimore Sun. So like, you go away from paper, you're abandoning paper itself, but you are also lying to yourself that there's this definitive edition of something, that this is the reality, and it's already incomplete. So when you look back at what happened and you find out there is no definitive record, this guy is basically saying there's nothing material that will mean anything when I'm gone. And it, like, to look at yourself and go, I don't matter, not because I'm nothing or I'm bad or whatever, but literally my job is built on something that when it's gone, I'm gone too. That's so sad. And he hasn't even been murdered yet. Like, it's just, it's fascinating the way that you learn about these characters, that in a lesser movie they wouldn't be villains or anything. Yeah. But I don't think they'd be as real. And these guys are real people.
Oh, sure.
And they feel real. And so is our protagonist, or antagonist, whatever, anti-hero.
I know. I mean, he sets stuff in motion, so I guess he's the protagonist, right?
I mean, he's the protagonist of the story.
Yeah.
But he's definitely not the hero.
No, that's, well. So.
I mean, this is the same guy who he kills someone and then he steals their speech about competing for jobs, and then he tells his wife that when they're dancing. Like come on, man, get your own game.
A question I have though. So did he not put his picture in a in a magazine that said that he owned a company? Like, was it like Red?
Yeah, Red Pepper Paper.
Okay, so my question is,
that's how he lured people in.
Yeah, but like, wouldn't the police like?
Well, that's what they start investigating.
Yeah.
They're like putting all the pieces together, and then he ends up getting away with it because that first victim's wife, who's an also fascinating character,
Yeah.
says this is what happened. And Mansu has already made the police very suspicious because they're talking about these two men have disappeared.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it's terrible they died.
I know, he's like, oh.
They're like, wait, what?
Worried, you know? Like,
what do you mean they died? Why did you say they died? He's like, oh, people disappear, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But, she basically... She says the wrong thing about what actually happened, what definitively what happened, and then he goes on with the rest of his life. And it's, he goes from solar paper to moon paper.
Yeah,
like that. None of that is subtle.
Yeah. No, I just was wondering, like, if I was going to murder someone, I feel like that's a big key to, if someone was investigating, they would be like, wait a minute, why is this guy's picture?
I feel
Setting
like
up a fake company, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like the cops in the movie, they're not incompetent.
Yeah.
But they are onto something. They're onto what we know is the truth. They're onto what they really know is the truth. And then somebody says, no, this is the truth. And they're like, okay, I guess we're done.
Yeah. They're doing the bare minimum.
Yeah, that's what happened. And I don't think they're stupid or they don't work hard. I mean, that whole scene where they figure out the phone, like he's got the phone in the evidence bag. And figure, like that's a good clue to discover, to follow it.
Yeah.
But, that's not what happened. This guy his wife said that this is what happened and we believe her. So, go on with your life. And he gets a job and gets his life back.
Yeah.
And most importantly, gets his dogs back.
Yeah, that's true.
That was extra heartbreaking, not only because I love dogs, but because
I know,
it clearly was a big part of his daughter's life who's on the spectrum. So
they really played that up.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding? And those were nice dog houses.
Beautiful.
I was like, look at the dog house. I was like, that's
beautiful
nice.
golden retrievers and a beautiful dog house with, like moss on them as a roof or whatever. And that's all part of the perfect. Like, as I'm watching that first scene, and I don't know what this movie is doing yet, I'm like, oh look, it's the man with the job and his beautiful wife, and he's got a boy and he's got a girl, which we later learn are their families blended, and he's got 2 golden retrievers, and he's got a beautiful family home, and he loves plants, and he's got a green, like it's all there.
When the daughter was hiding, or I don't know if she was hiding, but she was inside the doghouse. I remember when I was a kid, I used to, and my grandparents, their doghouse was not anywhere near as nice, but I remember like playing around hiding in there, which was really crazy because it only had the opening. It was hot as hell in the summertime.
I'm sure you would have baked in there.
Yeah. So I was like, I didn't do that too often.
That's good.
But anyway, yeah. Otherwise, I might not be here.
Well, a lot of crazy shit happens in the yard. Like you could bury pigs alive. Like you could do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Or other things. You could bury other things.
Turns out you can.
Yeah. So as far as the actual like story wise, before we move into anything technical, was there anything story stuff you wanted to talk about?
Well, I want to talk about the ending, but we could talk about that later if you want. We can talk about his ultimate fate is that he does in fact get a job.
Yes.
A manager.
Yes.
Of a factory. That he's the only person.
Yeah. And
he literally in the interview, he feels, I think he finally feels confident and I'm going to get this job. But he's like, well, you still need, they're talking about this company's like, yeah, we have all these automated factory stuff. He's like, well, you still need a person to watch over it. And they literally need one person to watch over it. So that's him. So he killed people and he got away with it, and his wife knows, and they're on the same team now. And he got his wife got his daughter the cello that will change her life in a wonderful way. But the barrier was money. It's all these things. And then he walks around and looks at robots doing things that we literally saw people do, like slicing the paper off the spool and stuff. But then as the credits begin, it's robots destroying the forest to make paper. Robots cutting down physically, there's no people chopping down trees. It's like the opposite of Train Dreams. They're chopping down trees, they're stripping the bark off right there, like all this kind of stuff. And so the movie at the end is like, wow, this guy's dream came true because he became the one guy watching the factory. But none of us matter. The machines even destroy the trees. Like the whole process of paper. It's like the idea of AI. Yeah. If you really want a job, you got to be the guy who knows how to write prompts.
Well,
Like that's not a future that any of us want.
and that's the other thing too. That's like one of the big. I don't necessarily know if it's a lie, but it's one of the misconceptions about like these data centers that are incredibly hard on the just the nature, or the areas that these are built in.
Yeah, the nature and the community. Everything.
But what happens is people think they're like, well, they'll bring a data center and it brings in like money and jobs, and it doesn't because exactly what happens with the like this one guy running this. First of all, when they build those data centers, they usually bring people in from out of state to bring them in. But once they're done, a data center only needs like 3 people to run it.
Yeah.
So there's your. That's not a boom to the economy. That does not help people out. That's not going to help a community out. So you have a huge drain on natural resources with these data centers. That's going to give 3 jobs. So that means you could build 100 of those, and that might help the economy. Like I would say, just from like the human cost might help the economy, but as far as what you're losing, like it doesn't balance out at all.
And that's different than what some of the stuff that's dealt with in this movie is like. My job is evaporating because the world is changing.
Yeah.
Like if you're an expert at the printing press, at a certain point in history and the way printing works, either you get into computers or you don't. It's like that's a thing that's gone. Whereas the data center model is kind of like you literally are, if you're lucky, you're the housekeeper. Like it's not, it doesn't make or do anything in the same way. Like I'm not even really sure if you run the data center, what skills you acquire other than being able to run another data center. And I'm not saying that to knock people who have that, but it's kind of like, you're not making anything creatively, writing or making a widget or whatever. You're watching other stuff do that. Like you are stirring the pot, I guess, to make sure the cooking keeps going. And that is not like you said, that is not a factory that fuels a community or any of that kind of stuff. I mean, that's Eddington. That's what that's about. The end is the town is nothing around a data center.
And even if it did, even if it was a job opportunity, it's a job opportunity for 3 people. Is that worth it? Is it worth it to drain all the resources in the area?
Well, it's not to the people who live there, but they weren't involved. So.
Yeah. So, well,
I mean, at least this guy, he plants trees on the bodies.
So that's good.
He's fertilizing. It's nice.
That is nice.
That reminded me, what was that movie? It's one of the most 90s movies I've ever seen. The Last Supper.
Yes.
Ron Perlman.
Yes.
And they invite rich people. There's a club of friends. They invite rich people to dinner and they kill them and then they bury them in the yard and they grow tomatoes.
Jason Alexander.
Yeah. It's not. I don't remember it being a particularly great movie.
No, it's very mid,
I remember it being
as the kids say.
Yeah. I remember it being very. I just thought of like 4 words that I don't really know how to use. I'm not going to say any of them as far as speaking like the kids. So you did a good job, but I'm not going to be able to back that up. I think, that movie is one of the most 90s things I've ever seen. And it's an independent film and some of the stuff we talked about before. Yeah. But I remember thinking when I was watching this, I was like, oh, he should grow tomatoes because they looked really good in that movie built on, millionaire, titans of industry bodies or whatever.
Yeah, decomposing bodies. I heard it's good fertilizer, I guess.
I guess.
But yeah, that was a this. I mean, ultimately, it is one of those things where it is sort of like it's the final like kick in the nuts where you're just like it's just. I mean, that was. I will have to say it was. I wasn't. Even though. I mean, it was like I was surprised, but I wasn't surprised.
You mean at the ending?
At the very end, where it was like it was even when they were saying like, oh, we use AI, like they're saying it, but like when it was just like literally just him, I was like, damn, you went through all that for that. Yeah,
it's not even clear. Like, does he have a night shift counterpart? Yeah. Like, he's the guy.
Like, yeah. So, well, I mean, you figure factories. I mean, it's not I mean, well, I guess nowadays maybe factories run 24/7. Who knows?
Well, you know what runs 24/7, and it could have easily been a movie about this instead of paper, is like a Amazon warehouse.
Yeah.
Like constantly.
Yeah.
And the more that they can have robots do, the less. See, that's why AI will ultimately be a problem to destroy all jobs, because even unions don't have leverage. Even no AI program will ever get old, retire, and you need to pay for its health insurance. Like there's literally no way to fight that sort of thing. And so he's one guy who's watching the machines do their job. And I'll be honest, if that arm that slices the paper off the roll breaks down, is he even equipped to repair that? No. He'll call the guy to come in, or the other robot to come in and fix it.
But honestly, I think that is the one consolation in all this AI stuff. First of all, I truly believe AI has been oversold, because it's been oversold for people. God, now I feel like you have now reached the financial.
Well, my wife said you sound like a Luddite when you talk about AI, and I was like, well, I'm 50, so I can be.
But I'm not a Luddite. I tell you, I know for a fact. It's not, because it's like, and when we've said this before, it's not intelligence. It's large language models don't think.
Yeah,
they are. Somebody made the best example of this is it's like if you had somebody in a shed that had 2 windows on either side, and inside that person had a rule book of every rule for the Chinese language, and you had somebody that came in with a note written in Chinese, and they handed it to that person, and the person looked at it, and they looked at all the rules, and they figured out how to answer that question by looking at all the rules in Chinese, and then they wrote it, and they gave it to somebody else that speaks Chinese on the other side. The person that wrote that, they don't know Chinese. They were good at looking up all the rules. That's what large language models are. Nobody realizes that. They're not thinking. They're not sentient. They don't.
I think it's even simpler than that, because this whole idea of, what do they call it, general artificial intelligence? Like, people are afraid of Skynet or some shit taking over the world. You're right. They're not intelligent. They're not sentient. It's a program that's really good at guessing words to simulate a human response.
Yeah.
Why? I know the reason is money as to why it's actually happening. Yeah. But why anyone would look at that and say, that should totally be in charge of everything? Like,
I don't know.
It's not capable of human judgment. It is capable of apparently simulating human judgment in a convincing way. I've used AI for stuff. Like I'll say to AI, okay, I have a weightlifting meet in 6 months. I have this equipment. I want to train 4 days a week. Give me a rough training schedule. It's great for stuff like that, because it'll just do all that work for you. But I'm not going to tell it. I'm not going to say, like, my job is literally interpreting the law.
Yeah.
To decide if people qualify for disability benefits. That's my job. You could give it to AI, but it's not. It's interpreting is not something that it can do. It doesn't think like that, because it doesn't think.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I think a lot of people are expecting there to be a what they call an AI rebound, that because companies are already doing this. All these people that got laid off. They're rehiring people because they're realizing what they thought they could do with AI, they can't really do it, and you need the human oversight. My son got a this is only partially related, but he went to his when he went to his endocrinologist, they did an eye exam. They said, hey, can we do, because with diabetes they want to check your eyes out. They said, hey, can we do an AI eye test? And they said, this wasn't in place of a regular eye test.
Yeah.
This is they just wanted to do an eye test because they're testing it out. They want to see it. And I'm like, we live.
Can we test? Can we experiment on your child?
And we go to. His endocrinologist is at Hopkins, so I figure, hey, if they probably know what they're doing. So
it's a pretty respectable institution.
You've probably heard of it.
Yeah. Is that John Hopkins?
John.
No, it's Johns Hopkins.
Johns Hopkins.
It's more than one John, because it's very busy.
That's what I said.
No, I said John Hopkins.
Oh, anyway, so so they, as the parent, they gave me a survey to fill out, and on every single one, response in the survey, there was an option that says, should a human be checking? And I was like, everything that said that I could indicate, should a human be checking this, like verifying? I'm like, I'm fine with you doing AI to make it quicker, but I want someone to check it, because apparently these types of tests, like they were able to do the test and give me the results right there in the office, like within seconds. And I'm fine with that. I said, but I want someone else to be looking over this. And
look, I mean, do you want to let a large language model determine if your child goes blind?
Yeah.
No. I mean, a lot of these examples,
thank you.
and I'm not saying this to you, but it's like, I hear that and I go, duh. Of course you want that. I don't know if you watched The Pit, but there was a whole storyline this season. It just ended yesterday, the second season, that one of the doctors who was managing the emergency department was pushing the doctors as they were working on their cases to use AI to do the charting. And it just did shit that was wrong.
Yeah.
Like you should, why did this say to guide some treatment stuff? Like, wait, why is it saying, 80 milligrams of this medicine, that's the wrong medicine, and if it was right, it should only be 8, like that kind of stuff.
That's
and
deadly.
then the computers in the hospital all shut down because a bunch of other hospitals got cyber attacks. So they have to go to paper. People have no idea what the fuck to do at first, but they figure it out because they're human beings who can think about stuff and make a judgment. If I unplug a large language model, it's literally can't do anything. And that's not me saying that AI doesn't have uses, because I know they're listening and I don't want to get in trouble. But it's very frustrating to see how people are so excited. Like, we're not going to get UBI. We're not going to get opportunities to have a life where we don't work.
Yeah.
Our parents' generation that got to retire, that's like, where in human history has that happened? It's amazing. But there's no guarantee that sort of thing will continue. And this movie is about people fighting very hard to get to a place where they're not that human. And that sucks.
Yeah. But
did you know that this had been made as a movie before?
Yes.
I had no idea.
It was. So there was, and I actually have that in my notes.
It's a book, and then it's been made as a movie twice.
Yes, it was a book from like the 90s.
Well, it's the Donald Westlake book. And
yes.
Donald Westlake has done a number of fascinating books.
The Axe. And we're in America, so we put no E at the end of that. And it's just AX. But it was a movie by Costa
Gavras, who did Z, and
yes, and it was from 2005.
The movie is dedicated to him.
Yes,
which is very nice.
I saw that in the closing credits, and then he's Park Chan-wook he announced it actually in 2009 that he was looking to do this.
Oh wow!
So he's been trying to get this made for a while. It's based on 1997 is when the book was written, but it was So this is sort of a passion project for him, and it turns out, because sometimes people have these passion projects, and you never know how.
Well, I recently mentioned one. I don't think it's garbage or anything, but like, it took 25 years to make Gangs of New York.
Yeah,
and it feels like it took too long.
Yeah,
it's not terrible, but it's not good. But on the other hand, it took 20 years to make Fury Road.
Yeah,
it's perfect. So
yeah. So I think I have to say again that the cinematography in this movie is like so good. Like, it's just, when you think that people are, it's one thing to be just, you have people that are good, like directors that are good storytellers. And then there are people that are just sort of like that, directors that are just a cut above. And this is just like, and this is I don't think I appreciated it when I saw Old Boy, because I think it was one of those movies that was just like, people were like, you should see this movie, you'd probably like it. And I don't think I want to see it. I want to go back and watch it again. But the Spike Lee version. No, I'm joking.
I was just about to say, it's not horrendous,
yeah,
but you can skip the remake.
No, yeah, but I do want to watch it again, the original.
I mean, if I were you, I would watch the trilogy. It's a trilogy of movies
because that's the second one. Old Boy's the second one.
But it's thematically about
trilogy,
revenge. So there's Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. There's Old Boy, and then there's Lady Vengeance, which is the one that I mentioned. And I would watch them. And I mean, in theory, you could watch them in any order. I would watch them in that order, which was their order of release.
Sure.
But there's not. It's not a trilogy of a continuing story or anything like that. But if you watch them, you'll be like, oh yeah, I get it. They're all connected.
Yeah. I am. But this is even like a lot of the interior scenes are just so like the scene when he goes after the third victim. Like there's a lot of like those interior shots, and those are.
I mean, when they're actually drinking? And stuff?
When they're drinking. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's not necessarily. I mean, it's a nice house, but it's not particularly like. I don't know. It's every shot like during that scene there's something. It just felt like there was something very cinematic about the whole thing. And I'm not talking about when the shot glass tilts. I mean, that's a cool shot.
That's a fun shot. Yeah.
That's a fun shot. You're right, but it's not like. But there's something about it. It just it's just a matter of. I think that this is one of those things where we talk about how a director is, in a sense, sort of like a project manager that knows. A good director just knows how to find the people.
Yeah.
That as you have to. The two main jobs is be able to articulate your vision clearly and then find the people that can do it the way that you that can do it the way that you want. And
I would argue there's one other specific thing that a director should do.
What's that?
That is clearly what happened in this movie.
What's that?
A director should be able to direct actors, like in person, direct performances, because the acting in this movie is incredible. Like, really, I think
it's still
incredible.
part of that. I still think
that's about finding the right people and everything. But I think at a certain point, you take the composer and you say, "This is what I want," and we collaborate as much as I, the director, want to, and then you go off and you do stuff and you bring it back, and then we go from there. The acting is right now in front of me. I can tell you, we've already rehearsed and talked and whatever, but I can do something right now in this moment to push you to deliver something that we need, that maybe we agree that we need, that I'm not going to go and tell you that violin is wrong. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very personal thing, and the acting in his movies is very powerful. He doesn't work with the same people all the time, but he has done a number of movies with the same actors, more than once type of thing. And I think the acting in this movie jumped out at me like immediately.
But I don't know. I feel like that takes a little bit away from the actor though, to say that, because I feel like you, if you're as a director, I feel like you pick the right people, because this is something like Martin Scorsese says, and that it's he said 90% of casting is just picking the right actor.
Well, some of the best direction is getting out of the way.
Yeah, I mean that's like when I saw Gary Oldman said that he said that there was only one time during that Christopher Nolan gave him direction, and it was this one thing he said, and it was a scene in one of the Batman movies, and he said the stakes are higher. That's all he told him. He said that's the only time he ever said anything to him.
Well, I mean, he's Gary Oldman.
So I know
he's real good, and he seems on a personal level perhaps less approachable.
Well, I mean,
when he's working, not that he's a dick, but like,
but I mean, it came down to casting him. He chose that person.
Who was he in as? Gordon?
Yeah. So, but I think that is but I do think it is. This is to kind of sort of reframe this whole this part of the conversation, is that it is the direction and all the other little parts. I shouldn't say little parts, but all the other parts to all the components of this were done very well, and it's just it's a very good looking movie. This is not going to be no one's ever going to mistake this for a Netflix original.
No,
that's for sure.
Or a Kevin Smith original.
No, Kevin Smith. I can't remember if I told this story before, but directly related to this specific thing was that when Kevin Smith did the terrible movie with Bruce Willis, and Bruce Willis
Cop Out,
he said, Bruce Willis said to Kevin Smith, "What lens do you think you're going to use for this shot?" And Kevin Smith said, "I don't know." And then Bruce Willis took him aside and said, "Don't ever let anybody hear you say that."
Yeah.
He goes, don't ever let the crew know that you have no idea what lens you're going to use.
just say 50 millimeter.
That's, well, yeah, there you go.
It's fine.
Yeah, 50 millimeter is always, that's a good middle of the road.
It's a pretty standard choice that works.
I'm trying to think. I think that is all I really had. Was there? I mean, I think we, because I was looking at my notes at the very end. I had stuff about AI, and I was like, I think we covered AI pretty extensively. Was there anything in particular?
I don't feel like recasting this.
No, I don't. I don't do the new ones. I don't even do all the old ones.
It's already a recast remake.
So yeah, there you go. And I think that's so. I mean, if you don't have anything else,
no, I think this was. I am actually behind on my movies by Park Chan-wook. I still haven't seen Decision to Leave, which was his last one, or Handmaiden, which was before that, and I should. And I would also recommend you check out almost any of his other movies. I watched it years ago, and I think Arrow put out a really nice 4K or Blu-ray or both edition. JSA, Joint Security Area, which is like a political military thriller mystery set at the demilitarized zone.
Okay.
And it's interesting that he makes different kinds of movies. And then I feel like it's just super sexy trash. I just love the movie Stoker that he did with Nicole Kidman, Matthew Good, Mia Wasikowska. It is just trashy, vibey fun. And with great music and like you know that song from South Park movie Uncle Fucker? It's about that. And it's really quite a thing, but it's very much his movie, and it is so gorgeous, like really beautiful. So there's a lot of stuff for you to explore with his movies, I think, and you absolutely feel free to start with a revisit to Old Boy.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch that again, but maybe I will watch that trilogy.
I'll loan you the Vengeance trilogy if you want.
Okay,
it's good stuff.
Well then I guess that's a wrap on No Other Choice. We'll be back next week with Project Hail Mary, and after that we'll watch something we've been talking about. We talk about physical media, and I got the limited edition of Outland,
nice,
from 1982, I believe, with Sean Connery. It's a what did someone call it? High Moon. I think it was like an old news article funny. I saw, but basically it's like it's
like
High
a Roger
Noon.
Ebert thing.
Yeah, High Noon in outer space. But it's very. I like it, and but it's a great if you're into physical media and you're looking for a decent movie, but that's a really good 4K transfer. The Arrow limited edition of Outland. It just came. This first.
It's brand new, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it came out like in November, I think.
Well, you know why you should choose, physical media. You know why, right?
I mean, other than the obvious.
Well, because if you want the best, there's no other choice.
Okay.
Fist my bump.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, so hey,
can you find us on all the podcast services?
You can find us on all the podcast services, and you can also follow us directly on storypunk.com. But I mean, there's no actual follow button. I mean, well, actually, yeah, that takes you to the Podbean. But
why don't you find us there and then explore?
Yeah, there you go. That's a perfect way of saying that. Also, we can be found. In addition, we can find us on you can find us on Instagram at StoryPunkPod, and you can find us on Facebook if you're a boomer, and you can also find us on Letterboxd. I am StoryPunk Scott, and Drew is on there as well.
I am Solid Gould.
Yes, if you want to see us in written form.
And who wouldn't?
we're not. You don't see us in written form, but you can see our.
If you want to make an ASCII art portrait in a review, you go for it.
I mean, it could try.
We'll have AI do it.
Yeah, I know. Yes, it'll only cost you one link.
Yeah, right.
And I guess that's it. And I will leave you with, remember, story matters.